Happy Viking Warrior Day, Salem State alumni and friends. This is Mike Mitchell from the Office of Alumni Relations coming to you with another special Viking Warrior Day edition of It Takes a Viking, the official podcast of the Salem State University Alumni Association. We are very pleased to have joining us now from the Department of Biology at Salem State University, Dr. Ryan Fisher. Dr. Fisher, how are you today?
I'm very well, Mike. Thanks for inviting me this afternoon, and I'm glad to be part of your message to all the alumni and Salem State friends.
Well, we're certainly appreciative of you for joining us today. I know this is a busy time of year for our academic colleagues with the end of the semester approaching, finals and grading and commencement and all that. So we know it's a busy time. We certainly appreciate you joining us today. Ryan, for those folks that are watching at home, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of your academic professional history, how long you've been at Salem State, and kind of what you're currently doing and teaching in the biology department.
Sure, will do, Mike. So everyone, again, glad to be here with Mike and chatting with you. I started at Salem State in January 2004. So what's that, just over 18 years ago. I'm a marine biologist, and my specialty is rather unusual. I work in marine muds and focus on the microscopic worms that live on those muds. But in terms of what I teach, in addition to my sort of specialty teaching, this semester I teach two of our upper class seminar courses. So the juniors and seniors in our department have a capstone experience they need to take in either their junior or senior year, and we have two courses that bookmark the capstone, one to prepare them for it, and the second one to sort of report back on the capstone, and I'm teaching both of those. I'm also teaching some introductory labs for both non-majors, majors, as well as a lecture for that is largely for our nursing students. Aaron, I have to say, my colleagues would be disappointed if I did not mention at this time of the year we have our Darwin Festival in February, and this year we celebrated our 43rd consecutive Darwin Festival, which, because of the pandemic, were all webinars, and they're all accessible to you via the digital repository of our library. So, Mike, back to you.
Very good. Lots of busy things happening over in the Department of Biology this semester. And as we think back to, so you mentioned you started at Salem State in 2004. What was it about the campus and the university that made you want to be a part of the university here?
That's a great question. Prior to moving to the United States, and you probably tell from my accent, I'm not indigenous to this part of the world. I'm basically a colonial Brit. And I went back to school as an older student and did my doctorate in Australia. And I wanted to get straight back into the classroom working with young people. I had worked in the UK with the YMCA movement, and then prior to that with an American college program in London. So I really enjoyed working with young people, but I wanted to take it and mix it with biology. And so the teaching sort of culture of Salem State and all the Massachusetts State Universities really appealed to me. Prior to coming to Salem State, Mike, I did teach in a part-time capacity at one or two of the small private colleges in Boston. And while they were enjoyable, that's a different culture to me. I think I really am drawn to helping young people, many of whom may not have had the opportunities that I had as a young person. And as you know, Mike, Salem State definitely fits that bill.
And I think that's a great segue to the next question that I wanted to ask you, is because throughout my time here at the university, and I'm sure prior to, you've been a tremendous partner to the alumni office, constantly working with us to reach out to our biology and STEM alumni. You volunteered as we approach our second campaign to kind of serve on that steering committee in an advisory capacity for all things that we should be considering. So what is it about this work that, why do you continue to do it, and why is it important to you?
Mainly it's to keep connected to the students that I taught as they move on and become alumni. and in a reverse way, connect their experiences to our current students. So unlike the Institutional Affairs Development Office, I'm not after our alumni to have them make donations to the university, albeit if they become very wealthy one day and end up being the likes of Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, they're welcome to give us their millions. But I want to use their experiences and their knowledge as graduates in a mentoring way for our current students. And so a lot of what I've done, Mike, is more in that fashion to connect our current students to them and vice versa. And then the larger question, I just like doing different things. You know, if you can imagine a teacher or a professor through a large part of the academic year, it's doing the same old stuff, and doing something different just makes my days more interesting to me.
And it was exciting recently for those that may have not have heard. The university was the recipient of some financial support on behalf of the Commonwealth that will have a direct impact on the biology department and some of the programs that you offer. Can you talk a little bit about what that'll mean for the future?
Sure. I mean, we currently in the biology department, we're the largest STEM department at Salem State. We have 8 teaching labs, the bulk of which, actually half, go back to the building of Meyer Hall, and are largely as they were when someone who graduated in the 1980s, if they were to visit, they are the same labs. In fact, one of our alumni colleagues out of biology visited in the last year, and he graduated in 1989, and yeah, he said the labs look just the same. We've been lucky in biology that half the labs were renovated in 2013. Renovated is perhaps a wishful term. They were basically given a spring clean and a sort of once-over paint job, but definitely they're a lot better than they were. So receiving the $30 million grant from the state 2 weeks ago is going to help us build new science labs, which were long overdue. And this is where alumni can help in all sorts of ways. We're lucky that we live in the #1 state of the United States in terms of education. But when you're trying to run a university and ensure that you have adequate enrollments, when you're up against the likes of all the UMass campuses, all 8 other state universities, all the private institutions from Harvard through MIT to Suffolk, BC, we have to be competitive in the facilities we have, just to attract the students. And then as a scientist, we want to have the adequate facilities, the lab facilities, as well as the equipment that the research that we can do adequate. So as a biologist, I look forward to having upgrades to our labs, bringing us into the 21st century.
And I think it'll be a very exciting time to watch it all unfold over the next several years too, for sure, to say the very least. And one of the things that you mentioned, just a moment ago about different ways that alumni can stay involved is that, right, it's not always, folks aren't always in the position to be able to make a financial commitment. But if you're in the field and you're seeing some professional success, we always welcome folks to come back to campus and talk with students. And you've been a tremendous champion for that for us over the last several years. And so for that and to you, we are very grateful. But I did want to ask, because obviously we are talking today on Viking Warrior Day. As someone yourself who has supported, several of the causes here at Salem State, what are some of the ones you are most passionate about, and why are they important to you?
Sure, Mike. I guess on the top of the list is our Darwin Festival. And I honestly don't know if I've actually, in the normal procedure of making a donation, donated to that, but that's an event that I mentioned earlier in our conversation this afternoon that's been running for 43 consecutive years. Was changed slightly during the pandemic, but we still ran it. And then another festival we have in the spring semester each year is our Earth Days Festival, which is a much broader interdisciplinary event that is largely run through the geography and sustainability department with a lot of input from biology. And through through the IA office 5 years ago, I set up a crowdfunding page to help us fund that. The food pantry that we run through the university, that is equally an important place to show your support for. I know I have an alumnus who's at med school. He's just started an organization that focuses on food insecurity on the North Shore. So those are probably the three areas that I'm most interested in. Earth Days, I remember you mentioned, Mike, that I'm on the steering committee for the next campaign, capital campaign. Planet Earth faces huge environmental, planetary level challenges, not just a pandemic, but climate change. So everybody needs to be aware of the extreme challenge that we face.
And as someone who is preparing this next generation of graduates to go out and potentially try to change, Earth for the better, as biologists and ecologists and planetary scientists, if someone at home was interested in considering supporting Salem State, the biology department, or any of the other causes that you've recommended, what would you tell them to try to maybe kind of get them over the fence on moving towards supporting?
Well, so our students are incredible students, are incredibly diverse in terms of the backgrounds that they've experienced getting to Salem State. They are very, very hardworking and determined. And the word transformational is often used, and it certainly is for many of them transformational. One extra facet of information about our students is that most of them are going to continue to live in Massachusetts, many of which still on the North Shore. So all the communities on the North Shore and all the communities in Massachusetts are going to benefit from having those graduates make a productive contribution to our society in Massachusetts. And then, as Mike and I have alluded to earlier, your contribution can be in many ways. I've just emailed a number of alumni to ask them to contribute to our the latest issue of our biology newsletter. I had some alumni join us last week to speak to our upper level seminar students, so sort of mentoring capacity. So non-financial ways, and to be frank, if you are incredibly wealthy and you want to provide us some money, hey, I'm not going to say no. Our students will certainly benefit from it. But just to reiterate, my main interest in becoming involved with alumni is to connect them with our current students.
There's three great ways that alumni can always be involved. Staying informed with the university is one. Getting involved at the university, whether through a volunteer board, speaking to students in classrooms, getting involved. And then the third way is, someday hopefully that they will make an investment in the university. And that's part of what we're trying to do today on Viking Warrior Day. So Dr. Ryan Fisher from the Department of Biology at Salem State, we would love to thank you again for joining us today as part of our Giving Day celebration. For anybody who's interested in contributing to the biology department, the Student Emergency Fund, the food pantry on campus, you can visit the website. It's going to be at the bottom of your screen coming up now, givingday.salemstate.edu. Viking Warrior Day runs through the end of the day today. To learn more, you can visit again, givingday.salemstate.edu. And until next time, stay tuned for more great content throughout the day, and thanks for watching.